So you're new to BMX racing and you want to start training. You want to train to get faster, to get stronger, to get fitter, to get around the track faster. Well, what if I could help you establish some training foundations that you can integrate into your day-to-day preparation for BMX races? Would you find that helpful? Let's talk about it. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. Another edition of BMX Coach Live on Monday, 5:30 San Diego time. Welcome to the show. It feels so good to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the show and asking me questions. And of course, I'm looking forward to talking about how to start training for newer riders. Of course, a lot of older riders and experienced riders, if you guys are watching this, maybe this video is for you, maybe it's not. If you find that you may find something that perhaps worked for you, maybe you could share it in the comments below. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for showing up to this video and supporting our channel. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe to our channel, and that totally helps me. In any way that you guys can help this channel, it's going to help everyone else out in BMX racing across the world, because our goal here is to help out as many newer and younger BMX racers thrive, experience their potential, and sustain it. Because if the more people that we can help, the longer you guys and everyone else is going to stay in the sport. And so, welcome to the show. I see a bunch of people showing up in the chat room. Welcome, guys. Also, if you guys can, make sure that you guys ask me your best BMX racing and training performance questions in the chat, and then we'll get to them towards the end of the show. I'm going to spend probably about 20 minutes in this quick presentation on how to start training for BMX racing for newer and younger riders, and we'll start working on the Ask Coach G section where you guys are going to ask your best questions. I'm going to do my best to get to as many as possible. Welcome to the show, Jean-Philippe, Roscoe H. Hi, Coach G. Jacob James. Good afternoon, Coach G. Josh Rich says, hey, Coach G. Unnamed BMX Racer. Hey, Coach G. Tyler says, can we go over how to become a better expert rider? Absolutely. And I think, Tyler, in the beginning of, in this presentation here in a minute that I'm going to help you with, I think you're going to be able to take a lot of these sound foundations and integrate them into your BMX preparation, and of course that will enable you to become a better expert rider. Welcome to the show, guys. I'm doing well, having a great Monday afternoon here in San Diego. I just got done getting back from an acupuncturist. I've been working on my health. I'm always working on my health. I think it's a lifelong aim, and I think it should be yours. And you know, here in sunny Southern California, I was going to say sunny San Diego, but sunny San Diego, sunny Southern California, there seems to be a big conscious movement in terms of taking care of yourself, right? Working on being conscious of your diet, what you eat, what you exercise. There's a big triathlete community. There's a lot of people running, a lot of people cycling. I'm a cyclist, of course. Lots of surfers, swimmers, rowers, divers, man, all kinds of crazy stuff, skateboarders, and of course BMX racers. And the one thing that I can appreciate as I'm meeting so many new people every day when I'm out on the road, I talk to everybody and anybody. It's great. And the one thing that I've noticed is that everyone is always trying to get better and trying to be the best version of themselves. And I think that's really helpful, because at the end of the day, when it comes to BMX racing, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be the best version of ourselves. And I do find out when I'm riding my bicycle on the coast, I'm lucky enough to ride a lot of these beautiful up and down this beach city over here in North County, San Diego, between Delamar, Cardiff, Carlsbad, Encinitas. If you guys have been in this area, you guys know such a gorgeous area along the Pacific Coast Highway. And as I'm riding my bike, there's a lot of people that like to be competitive, and it's not a race. And well, at least it's not for me. I'm retired, right? And so I find it interesting that I'm riding and I can tell people are trying to keep up with me. And really at the end of the day, I'm just looking at my power meter and I'm just trying to hold a certain amount of power for the purpose of bettering myself. And if I could better myself, then I'm 100% congruent with that. If someone else beats me, well, again, I'm not even racing. But if they're going to go ahead and go faster than me, then that's their choice. It's just like if we're riding, we're riding in cars down the freeway and someone wants to go faster. Hey, that's their choice. I'm going to let it go. At the end of the day, I'm going to do my own thing. And I would say what does this have to do with BMX racing? Well, at the end of the day, you guys have to do your own thing. You guys have to work on being a better version of yourself. And what a way to start by begin integrating BMX training. Oh, and that's the name of this channel, BMX training. So why not, right? We talk about gate starts, we talk about sprints, we talk about skills, acceleration, position, and all that stuff. And yeah, why not talk about some training? So we're going to talk about some training today. Would you guys find that helpful? Let me know in the chat. Send me some fire, some smileys, some thumbs up, whatever you guys want to send me. I'm over here drinking a little bit of tea. So, what I want to talk about when it comes to training for BMX, one thing I want to get it straight with you guys is that before you even start, you guys have to have a purpose. Okay. So emotionally, mentally, you have to have a purpose, because if you guys start training, hardcore like the pros, you can forget about it. If you don't have a purpose, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to lose motivation. We already talked over and over again that motivation's finite and it runs out, right? You only have a little bit every day. And so you have to have a purpose. You start training like the pros with no purpose, or maybe you have a short-term purpose. Maybe you want to win a race, you win that race, and it's like, well, now what? Now you have to find a new way to get motivated. And I think at the end of the day, I think the best thing that you guys could do is find a purpose in terms of what kind of BMX racer do you want to become, right? And have a long-term aim. It could be a little bit longer than a year. It could be 5 years out. I've been in this sport. I've stopped counting, but I've raced every decade since the 90s. And so, please forgive me, since the 80s. That's 80s, 90s, 2000, yeah, 4 decades, right? I've raced in 4 decades. So that's a long time. Majority of you newer and younger riders are in this sport less than 24 months. So I think before we even start training, I think it's important that you guys figure out what your purpose is in BMX racing. And I would start off by asking yourself the question, who am I becoming as a BMX racer? Because listen, not all of us stay in the sport of BMX. I'm in the sport of BMX, but I'm also doing other things. I'm in other industries. I just happen to have this passion where I'm able to have the opportunity to continuously contribute to the sport. Because I do what I love. Everything that I do, I love, by the way. And so I think it's important to understand that at the end of the day, what is BMX racing going to do for you even when you're done racing in the sport? Because I know guys that are professionals now, guys like Connor Fields, I would say that next year, if they're lucky enough to have the Olympics, he wins a gold medal, he's done, he's gone. He's accomplished his goal. Goals are end goals. They're stepping stones. They're dominoes that we knock down in an effort to keep spiraling up on the path that we're creating in our lives. So I think it's important. I wouldn't be scared of having a vision of where you guys want to go 3, 5, 10, 15 years in your life for you newer and younger BMX racers. If you're a teenager now, like half these guys in the chat room, I think it's important for you guys to look down the road 5, 10, 15 years. Don't be afraid to do that. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And utilize and integrate the lessons and the progressions of BMX racing. BMX racing is just a microcosm of life. And that's pretty much how I would do it if I were you. That's what I do with most of my athletes. Hey, where are we going with this? Because if you're just doing BMX racing to help identify who you are, then man, I mean, that is a never-ending game. All right, so I think it's important for you guys to get that purpose. And again, the purpose is to bypass motivation so we could start tapping into ambition. Motivation's finite. It's good. I can get motivated right now. I could stop this show right now and go into the gym and start doing some squats and sprints right here. I have everything right here, you know. But I'm going to run out of juice. I'm going to get bored probably 20 minutes into it because I don't have a racing goal at the moment. I have a goal to help and serve you guys. That's why I'm committed to showing up. And so we have to figure out, what is it going to take for you guys to show up and recommit every day. I recommit to you guys every Monday at 5:30. What are you guys doing to recommit every day in your purpose and on your path of BMX racing? So identify what that purpose is. What's that goal? What's that aim? Who are you becoming? If you get that, then you have the ambition, and then you're going to be able to integrate all this stuff that I'm going to talk about as it pertains to training. Oh, Jacob James, here we go. The discussion on a rider's beginning, middle, and end of the comparison to yourself was moving. I've started to only think of me and my goals. I'm less nervous. Sounds selfish, but makes sense to me. No, absolutely, it's not. It's not selfish, man. You're establishing boundaries on how your brain operates, right? Our brains are always comparing. I open up social media, and boom, I'm going to see how everyone's doing well. And by default, I can't help it, but unconsciously, my mind's going to start saying, well, shoot, how come you're not doing that? Should you be doing that? No, I need to be right here, right now. I haven't even opened up Instagram today. Okay, so, man, I got to be careful. If I look at the comments, I get sidetracked. Please keep commenting, start talking amongst yourselves. Whatever, any epiphanies that you guys may have, drop them in the comments below. Let's help out each other. That's what this community is all about at BMX Training, is helping each other. And man, we need a lot more of that, don't we? So let's start off. Again, we established that, right? We established the fact that we need to find the ambition so we can show up every day and recommit to our goals, and that way the training works. All right. So, okay, enough of that rant. Thank you guys so much. Please forgive me. I forgive you too. Let's chat. Let's talk about it. What kind of training do we want to do? There's all kinds of different training, right? And I have a list of stuff, and we're going to go over the list. I don't have any, please forgive me, I don't have any dialogue boxes that go up here today. I didn't have enough time. I ran a couple hours late as I was getting some acupuncture on. They started me a half hour late, and of course, I think it turned into a 2-hour session, and I got home like 4:30, so I had an hour to prepare. I had a busy weekend too, so please forgive me. But let's talk about training, shall we? Okay, we're going to talk about 3 areas, okay? And really 4 areas as it pertains to training. Let's talk about the ingredients. There's all kinds of ways you guys can put this together, but let's talk the way I look at training, okay? So the way I look at training is this. Have you guys ever been to a buffet? You guys go to, I don't do buffets a whole lot anymore unless it's like, unless it's within, maybe it's a Gucci, like, fancy restaurant buffet, then I'll consider it. But I just don't do them anymore. I like to place an order, and I want it cooked specifically, and that's it. Because if I go to a buffet, I'm going to overeat. And I'm not in a position to overeat. I look at training as a buffet, though, because you have all these different, please forgive me, I don't even know if I should use buffet as a, I look at training as cooking, actually, okay? Scratch the buffet. I look at training as cooking. So you have all these different ingredients, and then you could take all these different ingredients and make these meals. And so when it comes to training, the 4 main ingredients are track training, okay? at home on the bike training and at home off the bike training. All right. And I said 4, but really I think there's 3. And I think the 4th one would be strength training. But I think strength training is going to fall under at home off the bike training. So really at the end of the day, there's 3 ingredients. 3 ingredients. Track training, at home bike training. Okay. So away from the track, yet on the bike. And then away from the track, at home or at a gym or whatever. It's off the bike training at home. Okay. So we have 3 of those, and we're gonna dissect what we can do on all 3 of those, and then we'll kind of figure out a way how we could put these ingredients together and make ourselves a nice meal, right? A nice meal throughout the week that we can digest easily and effortlessly, that will enable us to, well, reach our goals, whatever you're trying to become as a BMX racer. If you're trying to get faster, if you're trying to get stronger, if you're trying to get fitter, if you're trying to move from intermediate to expert, if you're an expert that's struggling and you want to become a top 10 NAG expert, or you're just a regional expert and maybe you go to a few nationals, but you want to get recognized and get a sponsor and you want to start going to more nationals. All right, so let's start going into it, and I love how all the comments are coming in. Some people say, oh, training sucks. And yeah, it sucks if you don't have a purpose. I'm not quite sure if someone said that, but someone said it sucks. But okay. Let's talk about track training. First and foremost, I would say for newer riders, number 1, skills are king, right? We want to make sure that we're comfortable riding on the track. While gate starts are important, we want to make sure we're improving on the track first and foremost. And I think that at the end of the day, being able to navigate jumps and navigate them fast is king. We want to work on our smoothness. We want to work on generating a lot of speed off the jumps. And when we're doing all those things, then we're improving our track speed. So we definitely want to start off with skills. Are you guys pumping properly? Are you guys getting that down? Are you guys working on your manualing? Are you guys working on your jumping? And are you guys doing that in an a la carte way where you guys are going deep into your manualing, where you guys are going deep into your jumping, finding one jump on the track and just focus on perfecting the manual or the jump technique that you guys need to get across that obstacle efficiently and effectively? I have no problems with you guys doing that. Spend 30 minutes on one obstacle and master it. I think that's a great way to train, because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to move from conscious incompetence to the ultimate, which is unconscious competence, mastery. You guys want to be able to do this without thinking. And that's what training on the track is all about. It's all about mastering a skill to where you don't have to think about it. And when you don't have to think about it, then you can really, really start to explore and go deeper into your racing, right? Because at the end of the day, you want to be able to race with your head, right? You want to be able to have all the skills mastered. Listen, the pros, they have all the skills mastered. They're not worried about how they're going to take this jump or if they're going to be smooth. Am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? No, they're thinking about, am I going to enter this turn on the left side of them? Did they leave just an inch open and I'm going to dive underneath their back tire, wait for it to clear and do an X pass, right? Am I going to be able, let me focus on getting 2 extra pedals into this turn, get a nice rail line, and then come out with more speed out of that corner and head into the rhythm section faster than the guy that's in front of them. When you have your skills down, then you guys can think at a higher level. And that's what training on the track does for you as it pertains to skills. So we definitely want to move on from conscious incompetence, right? We know we're not good, and get to the point where, we're not thinking about it, right? Going from thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm hesitant, I don't want to crash, I'm squirreling out, I'm fearful of doing this, I don't know if I'm good enough to do that, I don't want to loop out, to, no, I got this, and I'm not even thinking about it anymore. And you guys will have that epiphany, man. You guys will have that epiphany when things are improving rapidly, where it's like, whoa, that happened really easily for me. I thought it was going to be hard, but man, that's happening really easily for me. And that's going to be your epiphany. That's going to be your aha moment that you're actually improving. I remember one time when I was in my 30s, I decided out of nowhere I was going to become an ice hockey player, right? I played beer league hockey. And just like you newer, younger riders, what I did was I learned all my skills on YouTube. That's the irony here, right? I'm teaching you guys on YouTube, but I learned all my skills on YouTube. And I decided, I got frustrated. I wasn't improving with my ice hockey skating. And so I decided to hire an ice hockey coach. And it was a girl. And I've said this story many, many times over again. And you know what she told me? She told me everything that I learned on YouTube, I need to unlearn. We're going to start over again. So what had happened was she taught me how to backward skate. And I had no idea how to do it. She taught me how to do it. So what I did was on my free time, I would find public ice skating sessions. I would go there at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday night. 8 o'clock on a Friday night. And I would spend an hour working on backward skating in a circle. You know those circles in the middle of the ice skating rink? And I would skate that circle backwards both ways for an hour. And I remember one time in a game, I was warming up and I was like, oh, let me try some of these backward crossovers. And I was like, holy smokes, I'm doing it and I'm not even thinking about how to do it. That's when I had the aha, and I want you guys to have the same aha when you're working on your skill training. So when it comes to training, you know, don't worry. We'll talk about strength training, but I think the foundational thing that we need to start off with is getting from, again, on your skill work, conscious incompetence to mastery, which is unconscious competence when you're not thinking about it. Okay, I think that's really important. And of course, gate starts, right? We want to be able to start, you know, getting out of the gate as effective as we can. Are we good with our first movement? Are we good with our second pedal position, acceleration, power? Okay, are we getting the most out of our power? All right. There's many videos all over our channel. There's stuff in the membership as well. If you guys go to bmxtraining.com, there's plenty of gate start videos over there. If you guys go to the store, there's a gate start secrets course. I highly recommend doing that before you even hire somebody to help you, because I think for a few bucks you'll be able to have the course for a long time and go back to it. It's a course that I created for my Olympians. Straight up, this is exactly how I coach them, and you guys may find that it may help you. Let's talk about interval training, because I think that's another thing that guys have a hard time with, doing laps, doing half lap work. Listen, we need the power to be able to get from the gate all the way to the finish line very efficient, right? So guys come to me and they're like, man, I'm really tired around the track. And it's like, okay, well, how are your skills? Because if your skills aren't working for you, you're spending a lot of unnecessary energy navigating the course. If you could smooth out your skills, by default, you're going to be faster. You're going to be smoother. You're going to be faster. But I think there's something to be said about doing some interval training. Going from the gate all the way to the second turn. Maybe doing some efforts where maybe you roll off the gate and then you punch it hard out of the first turn and go hard all the way to the finish line. Keep the rest short and keep going. You know, you don't need to do too many of these. You know, 4 to 6 efforts of this half lap stuff, keeping the rest really short. It's gonna take a lot of work. It's gonna take a lot of work for you to remove all that unresourceful metabolic waste, which is going to enable you. If you could work on eliminating that waste, then you're going to have more horsepower when you're entering that last turn. You're going to feel really good, and you'll know when you're in shape, man. It's awesome. It's such an awesome feeling when you're entering that last turn. It's like, dude, my legs are fresh, and I can tell the guys in front of me or the guys behind me are fatigued, and you're coming out of that last straight, and you're just laying down the power. Man, it's awesome. So that's one way that you guys need to approach track training. Go deep into your skills, work on your jumping, your manualing, go deep into, you know, pick a couple different jumps and master those jumps. Master your gate start, work on your interval work, your track work, your ability to recover fast. Do the hard work, okay? All right, let's keep moving. Here's a big one, number 2, at home on the bike. At home on the bike training. At home on the bike training is a great opportunity for you guys to improve, because At the track, listen, unless you're lucky enough to have access to a public track that's open all the time and it's within a riding distance, listen, for the majority of us, we have to put our bikes in a car and drive over to the track. Furthermore, we can only ride it when it's open. And most of these tracks are only open maybe 2 to 3 times a week. If your track is open all day long, great, more power to you. But for the rest of us, it's a great opportunity for us to work on our training on the bike at home. And this is really tough because a lot of you guys depend on the camaraderie, the energy of the track. I get it. I love the energy of the track. When I show up, I'm so excited. My armpits are sweating. My palms are warm and sweaty. I'm just like, I'm nervous. Mom's spaghetti. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm excited. I'm excited to show up to a track. There's so much, there's people there. Everyone's excited. But at home, it's hard because no one's there. So that's where the goals come in handy. And that's going to keep you in check. And that's going to give you the ambition to whip out the bike and carve out an hour of sprint work, of bunny hops, of skill work, of gates if you have a gate at home, of manualing at home, of doing figure 8 turning work at home. Okay, there's all kinds of ways for you guys to get ahead of the competition or your friends, right? By riding and training at home on the bike. And I would say, number one, it's obvious. I think what's king is, and it doesn't matter if you're an intermediate, a novice, an intermediate, or an expert, work on your sprint training because that's going to make you a better pedaler. It's going to make you more efficient. The more efficient you are, the less tired you're going to be. The more sprints that you do, the better you're going to become at sprinting. BMX racing is a sprint sport. We're like track and field athletes that are going over hurdles. We're no different. So work on your sprint training. It's a great opportunity to develop that specific power. Okay, out of the gate, that power out of the gate, the power down the first straight, the power after jumps, the power coming out of turns. Okay, and there's 2 ways you could do sprints. You could do sprints specifically for explosive power, and you can also do sprint training to work on and mimic longer efforts on a track. So you could do like interval training, which is going to be broken sprints. Okay, so there's 2 ways to sprint for explosive power and sprint for muscular and power endurance. Okay, other ways that we could train at home. And if you guys are here live, if you guys are watching this on the replay, let me know what you guys do at training. Let me know what you guys do at home while training on the bike. Help our community. There's other ways that you guys can train and work on your skills. For you newer and younger riders, work on balancing. Man, I was working on some balancing the other day. And I've been in the sport a long time. You guys know this already, but it's such a hard skill. Like if you can master balancing on flat ground, okay? It's crazy how much more easier it's going to be for you to execute your gate start if you could work on balancing to the point where you're doing it without thinking, where it becomes like walking, where it becomes just like riding a bike. Don't be afraid to work on balancing. I don't care if you're a pro, an expert, a top expert, a novice, or an intermediate, especially. You guys should be working on balancing up against a wall at home. Just make sure it's not your mom's wall where you're going to get black marks all over the dang wall. She's going to make you paint it, and she's going to probably take your bike away. So don't do that. All right? I did that, and my mom wasn't too happy with me. That was a long time ago. What else can we do at home? Skills. Oh, there's an idea. There's something new. Work on your bunny hopping. Can you guys bunny hop a curb? Can you guys bunny hop a 4-inch curb? Everyone that's racing, I don't care how old you are. 8 years old, 80 years old, 28 years old, okay? Everyone should be able to bunny hop up a curb. It's a prerequisite. Got to be able to bunny hop up a curb. And if you could do that, then perhaps you could work on bunny hop manualing. But however, we haven't even gone there yet. So work on your bunny hopping, working on jumping off curbs, catching air. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All those skills are going to make you more one with the bike. Being one with the bike is really important, right? Bunny hopping, jumping off curbs, getting creative with the bike, doing sprints, bunny hopping, jumping, manualing. Are you guys working on your manualing? Manualing is such a foundational move on the track. I know for some of you younger riders who are not fast enough to justify manualing, I would say still work on it because it's going to come in handy when you get older, when you get faster, when you grow. Okay. Manualing is basically like popping a wheelie without pedaling. So can you pop a wheelie and keep the front end up and pedal? Guess what? Because if you could do that, you could do a pedal manual. Hello. All right. But no, for real, I think manualing it's such a power move, right? Like when I say it's a power move, it really takes a lot out of your lower body to pull off that move, right? Hamstring work, glute work, lower back work, right? Skill work, equilibrium work. You know, it's gonna force you to balance straight, keep the bar straight as possible. Such a great move, such a great skill. Manualing. Are you guys working on your manuals at home? Great opportunity for you guys to do that. Turning. This is one that's really, really overlooked. Are you guys working on your turning at home? Such a great opportunity because, listen, on any given track, it typically your average track has 3 turns, right? There's a first turn, a second turn, and a last turn. Sometimes there's 4 turns. Sometimes there's 6 turns. I know, like, what's the West Palm Beach? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one had 5 turns. Cole Canyon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 turns. Yeah. Well, listen, most tracks have 3 turns, and you have to go about 200 feet to do the first turn, and then you have to wait another 10 to 15 seconds to hit the second turn. It takes 45 seconds you get 3 turns. If you guys could work on figure 8 turns at home, in 45 seconds you should be able to bang out like 12 turns. And what an awesome opportunity for you guys to work on your technique, work on mastering turning, especially on flat ground. Again, if you can turn on flat ground, you certainly can turn on a banked corner. So it's a great opportunity for you to work on that. And turns offer so much in racing, right? It's a great opportunity to pedal deep, take a nice line, and make up ground on the rider in front of you. It's a great opportunity to make a pass on somebody. Turns are just nothing but opportunity. You guys have to look at turns as opportunity. So you guys have to take the opportunity at home and work on your turns. See what I did there? All right, guys. I see the chat just blowing up. Cool. We'll get to the chat. Looks like these guys are all communicating to each other. Love it. I'm glad you guys are doing that. You guys have skills. If you're able to listen to me and chat to other people, more power to you, man. That's great. It's just like riding a bike, yet riding a bike on a track, yet riding a bike on a track, navigating obstacles, and doing that with 7 other hungry riders on the track with you. It's a lot going on in BMX. All right, so the last one, at home off the bike training. Okay, so we already had a hard time finding motivation and ambition. Well, if you guys configured your purpose properly, you're not going to have any problems with any ambition to get motivated or be ambitious to do the work on the bike. And hopefully you guys are to the point where you guys are hungry enough to and ambitious enough to do at home off the bike training. Yeah, that's right. At home off the bike training. That's pretty much strength training, right? Strength training. Now, strength training is really, I actually Googled something here for you guys. I don't know if this is a good one on strength training. Let me see what I can Google here real quick. Bear with me. Oh, here we go. According to muscleandstrength.com, strength training for sport, the benefits, right? Develop joint flexibility, develop of ligament and tendon strength, develop core strength, developing the stabilizers, train movements, non-individual muscles, don't focus on what is new, but what is necessary. Okay, that's great. That's good. Wanted to run that by you. But strength training, I think, is key because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to impose a demand that's more than what you get on the track. And by doing so, the theory is you adapt to these harder demands away from the track. And when you get to the track, it should be easier. And when things are easier, it's going to help out your confidence. When you have more confidence, you're going to be in the flow. Things are going to happen easily and naturally. Okay. Strength training, that's just one microcosm, but there's many benefits to when it comes to strength training. But strength training for newer and younger riders, listen, if you're 12 and under, body weight strength. Okay. Doing things like body squats, lunges, any kind of plyometric exercises, core work. Okay. Lower body work like squats and lunges are going to obviously help you out with your power out of the gate. It's going to help you with your sprint training. It's going to help you with your jumping. You're going to be able to jump higher if you need to. It's going to help you out with your manualing. You're going to be able to manual more if you need to. Manual longer and deeper jumps if you need to, because manualing takes a lot of lower body strength. Core work, okay? Core work, listen, if you guys are not doing any strength training at home, if you guys could do one thing for me, please do your core work. Core work is going to help with everything and anything because the core is pretty much the transition between the two touch points on the bike, both your hands and your feet. Core work is going to enable you to get into the proper acceleration position, deliver a first movement properly out of the gate, but more importantly, keep you in that proper acceleration position. Core work's going to help you out with manualing. Core work's going to help you out with stability in the turns. Core work's going to help you when you're bumping other riders. Okay, see where I'm going with this? Core work is the key. There's so many benefits when it comes to core work. Strength training, of course, we just touched on that with the lower body. Upper body, yes, absolutely. My riders do upper body work. Sometimes it's not necessary though. Okay, sometimes it's not necessary. Not all the time. I like pull-ups. I like foundational stuff like that. I like push-ups. Don't need to reinvent upper body work. I like anything that has to do with any kind of pulling, like a row. All right. Strength training is key. All right. Again, this is for newer and younger riders. I'm just giving you a reason as to why strength training is important. And more importantly, I wrote some things down here. Muscle coordination, muscle activation, myelin building, movement recall, improving flexibility for finesse, right? Strength training will help you heal faster from crashes. Strength training will also help you prevent crashes, right? Because if you get out of shape on the bike, if you don't have the strength to straighten everything out, then you're just going to let go. Sometimes, obviously, there's lots of crashes that are unavoidable, but there are some that are avoidable. And being stronger is definitely going to help you do that. The more you're out front, the more you're out of harm's way. Strength training is going to make you faster. It's going to make you more efficient over the jumps. It's going to make you more... Strength training is going to give you more power, endurance around the track, right? Because you're developing this muscle coordination. And when you're developing more coordination, you're going to be more skillful. When you're more skillful, you're going to be more smooth. Strength training is awesome. Newer or older. I think you guys, listen, when it comes to strength training, you guys it has to be a weekly thing. You guys can't just train 4 to 6 weeks out of the year and expect that to be of any benefit for your racing. It's something that you have to do right next to your sprints, if you will. Okay? You do your sprints, do some strength training, right? Whatever that may be, core work, body weight work. If you're lucky enough to have a gym access during COVID, or if you have gym equipment in the garage like me and many other professional riders who are now investing in their own strength equipment, because getting into a gym is very unpredictable these days. Where are we at with time? All right, so how do we put all these things together? How do we put all these things together? So I think in an effort to build a sound training foundation, listen, track training 2 to 3 times out of the week. Go there, work on your gaits, work on your skills, get some racing in. That's 3 days out of the week. Any other day that you're not at home, especially if you're a newer, younger rider, you should be riding every day. Even if it's just having fun. Bunny hopping, jumping, doing manuals, working on turns, taking your bike, riding it to a store. Make sure you lock up your bike so it doesn't get ripped off. That's what I used to do. I used to ride my bike to the grocery store and, well, you guys don't have BMX magazines, but I used to pick up magazines. I used to get candy magazines and baseball cards. Ride my bike there, sprint with my friends, race them there, bunny hop curbs all the way there. Manual curbs, jump off curbs. All right, so where am I going with that? I got excited. I went back in time. I went way back in time. Got to get back to the present moment here. But yeah, you got to work on your on the bike training at home. Okay, sprint training, working on your balancing, working on your turns. All right, working on your manuals, going deep into all of those. Take 30 to 45 minutes. It doesn't need to be that long. Take 30 minutes and work on sprints. Start there. We're not talking about spending 2.5 hours on your bike. 30 to 45 minutes. Okay. And again, newer, younger riders, I would say I would do that every day that you're not riding your bike at the track. Strength training. I would say twice a week. Most of my athletes train at least twice a week. Most of my athletes actually lift at least one time a week, the week of a race. Okay. Strength training is key. Strength training, we're power athletes, so we're either building, maintaining, okay? Building or maintaining. That's it. All right. Strength training is key. Now, strength training twice a week, maybe 3 times a week. Okay? You could spend one day dedicated to legs, another day dedicated to upper body, maybe perhaps another day dedicated to core, or maybe you guys could just do something like 2 days of dedicated strength training with a combination of all 3. Lower body, upper body, and core work. Do that twice a week. Now, depending on where you're at, right? If you're new to lifting, let's say you're 13 and over. Let's say, you're 13 years old or you're 23 years old and you want to start working on strength training. I would say you would want to do this probably around midweek. Monday, Tuesday, you get some sprint training in, you get your track training in. On that third day, boom, bang, do your strength training, rest that next day, okay, and then get back on it. Bike training, track training, strength training. I would start with something like that. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Now, if you guys want to integrate sprint training with strength training, absolutely. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Do your sprints first. It's a skill work. And then do your strength training. Okay? All right. Do we have any questions as it pertains to training? Are you guys finding this helpful? Are you guys finding this helpful? Okay. If you are, leave some comments below. All right. Let's check out the chat here. Holy smokes. You guys are just on it today. Whoa. We're talking about protein powders. Advice for, let's see, what's up, Coach? I always need advice because of my recent move up to expert, and your stuff has been really helpful. Thank you. We got Pull Magazine still. Okay, we're getting a lot of comments coming in. Guys, again, as it pertains to training, right, for newer, younger riders, or if you're new to training, period, there's lots of experts. Shoot, I remember, man, who was it? Nick Long. Nick Long didn't even start strength training until he was 20 years old. Okay, so He figured out what he wanted. You know, he discovered some goals, identified some goals, figured out who he wanted to become as a BMX racer. And then that enabled him to have the ambition to get to training, because the guy loved riding his bike. He loved racing locals. He loved doing gate starts. Oh my gosh. The dude's a local gate start king. He's probably done more gate starts than, you know, the next guy, who's Eric Roop, who's probably done 60,000 gate starts. All right, guys, you guys finding this helpful? Cool. All right, well, I need to take a break. Ask your best questions. I'm going to go through some of these questions. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. Please forgive me. I'm going to try and find the ones that are going to be the most helpful for the community. Again, I appreciate you guys showing up. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be your coach. I'll be back right after the break. Hey guys, I have a question. What would it do for you if you could enhance your power out of the gate, enhance your sprint speed down the first straight, enhance your skills, enhance your mental performance mind state? What would that do for your racing or your kids' racing? If you're seeing the value of enhancing your BMX performance, consider joining the community of BMX Training Pro and get the same access my Olympic athletes have enjoyed, as well as thousands of BMXers all over the world. Some members use the access to improve their gate start techniques. Some also use the access to keep them motivated to train, and you'll find your reason when you gain access and join BMX Training Pro today.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now.
Nitro with the nice flow.
Stay focused, get ready now. For real, get ready now. Let's go. Stay focused, hear the heat come. Concentrate to the sound of the beat drum. Yeah. Start it up, take it back now. Check it out. This is how it's going down. Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. Taking a quick look at the chat here, and man, there's just a lot of communication amongst you guys, so I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you guys are just joining in, we're here live. This is a live show, and thank you so much if you guys are watching this on the replay. Have a comment coming in here from Josh Snow. Let me adjust my computer monitor here. I got two computers. I got this laptop, which is I'm streaming the live stream and monitoring everything that you guys see here, and then I actually have the live stream over here in which I'm monitoring over here. So it's like, dude, I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm looking at this camera. I got lights. I got a microphone. I'm manning the switchboard. I'm checking out the chat. A lot of stuff going on. Anyways, Josh Snow said, "Hey, coach, I have a pump track in my town to practice jumping and corners. I'm more comfortable cornering with my pedals level rather than having my inside pedal up. Is there any downside to that?" Yeah, that's a great question. You know, there was a guy I used to race by the name of Brian Foster. He liked having pedals level. We spoke about pedals level versus, you know, the inside pedal up. And here's the thing. If you have really, really good tires, you know, pedals level is going to be okay. If you're comfortable with that, then do that. The reason why I like the outside pedal down is because you can lean the bike a little bit more aggressively than pedals level. So think about that. You could put a little bit more pressure on the outside foot, right? And then you could push those handlebars down. And then your body weight's more over the rubber, right? Those two wheels, that center line. Okay. If your body weight can be over that as opposed to away from you when the pedals are level, okay, then you're going to have more traction. If you have more traction, you could take a tighter radius corner. If you could take a tighter radius corner, then you can make aggressive passes. When the pedals are level, I tend to find myself slipping and sliding out. All right. So, you know, with today's tire technology, and you guys are racing majority of the time on paved corners. You know, back in the day, not every corner was paved. They just weren't. It was rare. But today you could probably get away with that. So, you know, hopefully that's helpful. Thank you so much for the question, Josh. And thank you so much for showing up and being a part of our community here at BMX Training. Let's see, any other training questions? Jake Jensen 218 says, what do you think about setting 5 or more goals a year? Jake, I think that's great. I think at the end of the day, we need to identify the difference between goals and objectives. Because here's something that's really, really tough with goals. If you say I want to be faster, okay, the unconscious mind's crazy, right? The unconscious mind, once it gets to hint that it's faster, it'll stop working towards being faster. Okay? So we need to be a little bit more direct with the unconscious mind and place the order. Place the order specifically. I want a top 5 nag plate. Okay? And then keep what we call chunking up from there. So which number do you want in the top 5? Like athletes tell me, I want to be top 3. Great. Well, which plate do you want? Do you want number 3? Do you want number 2? Or do you want number 1? Which one do you want? Right? So you have to figure out what that goal is. And once you have that goal, you should want to create a goal picture. What is it going to be when you get it? How will you know when you have it, rather? That's the question that I always ask. How will you know when you have it? Create that picture. If you can have a picture, then you have a goal that you're actually working for, okay? The unconscious mind is not going to be short of ambition because it always has a picture. Being faster, it's very subjective, and it's more of an objective. It's more of a box. It's more of a key performance indicator that how fast do you want to be? But it's more of a stepping stone that's going to enable you to reach a larger goal. So when you create goals, create the large one first. Create the bigger one first. And then what you want to do is you want to identify what resources or what do you have, right? What resources or what reasons do you have that will enable you to achieve that goal? And then you want to find out and be honest with yourself, what resources or what reasons do you have that's preventing you from achieving that goal? So resources could be something like, well, I'm just not fast enough. Well, how much faster do you need to be? Be direct, be specific. Okay. 5 or more goals. I have no problems with that as long as you have a main goal. You need to have a main year-end target, kind of like a short-term aim. Okay. I think that's important in anybody's racing, right? Having a short-term goal of like, oh, I want to win next week's race. That's a great goal. Okay. But where are you heading towards after that? Oh, you want to win the next race? Great. For what purpose? Why are you wanting to string all these races into wins? You need to create that year-long goal of some kind of number that you're going for. And that's going to enable you to have the motive. That's going to enable you to have the ambition to easily and naturally go after each weekend's wins. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Let's keep moving here. Jacob James says, please forgive me. Jacob James says, my training starts with that first jumping jack. If I can get that far, it's on. Hey man, you know what? I like that you said that. And I know it's a joke. And some of these guys are like, they have the teary-eyed smiley face. Josh Rich, he put that down. And I think at the end of the day, I think it's important for you to decide what it's going to be, what's going to trigger you to get in the state of training, right? What's going to trigger you to get in that state of training? I'm glad you said that. The first jumping jack you get, if you can get that out of the way, that's a big barrier for you, Jacob. I tell you what, my trigger for me to get motivated to do a long bike ride, it's goofy, but it's to fill up a water bottle. This isn't the bottle, but I'll put a little electrolyte mix in there. I'll get some water, fill it up, put the top on, and then I go stick it in my water bottle cage. Once I do that, then it's on. That's all I need. That's called a motivational anchor. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. My friend is 13 and is pro now, but I'm 13 and still novice. Oh, unnamed BMX racer. Okay. Josh Rich. Hey, Coach G, how do I overcome the unwillingness to train? Great question. You know, obviously, Josh, I'm seeing this question probably before I talked about a bunch of different stuff earlier. And you know, at the end of the day, it's redundant, right? Like, what do you need to be willingness to train, right? Right? What do you need to be willing to train for? What do you need to be willing to train for? What are you training for? For what purpose? Identify the purpose, and not only will you have the willingness, but you'll have the ambition. That's the key in life and everything and anything, man. Like, again, like, I could easily just be like, you know, I've had a few off Mondays where, you know, showing up to this show on a Monday, like, man, I really had a hard weekend. I was tired, and, you know, listen, I have the ambition to show up for you guys. I'm recommitted to you guys. Listen to that. I'm recommitting. How can you guys recommit to your BMX racing? Establish a goal. Make it meaningful. Make it, contextualize it. Is it good for you? Good for your family? Good for your community? Is it more than just yourself? Okay. You have to make it mean. You have to be able to transcend yourself. For you younger guys, Google what that word is. Transcending yourself. Is it more than yourself that you're doing it for? The guys in sport that are finding success and they're able to sustain it for long periods of time, they're not only doing it for themselves, they're doing it for other reasons. They're doing it for their family. They're doing it for their community. They're doing it for a cause. And you guys could do that too when it comes to your own BMX racing. Okay, it's definitely possible. Violet says, I've been doing training for a couple months now, and I only have 6 wins, 2 Gold Cup wins, and 4 standard race wins. I don't know. Okay, maybe I read that wrong. Let's see. Violet says, I try as hard as I can in each race and only have a couple of wins left until I'm an intermediate, but I feel like I'm going as fast as I possibly can. Good for you. Yeah. Violet, you're 13, man. Like, and please forgive me, I didn't mean to call you man, but I'm presupposing. Violet, please forgive me. Are you a boy or a girl? Please forgive me. Either way, keep working hard. After you've won a race, keep chopping wood and carrying water. Before you win the race, you're chopping wood and carrying water. After you win the race, you keep chopping wood and carrying water. What does that mean? Keep doing the hard work. Keep doing the hard things that are very easy to do every day. And you guys are going to find success. Okay? It's really that simple. All right, let's see here. Jake says, hey, coach, this past season I have been doing lots of sprints, track training, and body weight workouts. I have gotten lost on weight training. Any advice or workouts? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, Jake, I think when it comes to strength training, number one, you're already doing body weight work, okay? And I think that's important before anyone begins or integrates a free weight strength training program for themselves. And I would say that you want to find someone that you could partner up with, find a personal trainer, find someone that knows what they're doing, and have them put you through a couple different exercises. Just work on the meat and potatoes. Work on squats, do some deadlifts, do some lunges, do some single leg squats. Start there. And listen, Jake, at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be complicated. Just do the movement. Okay? You don't need to lift a ton of weight. Just put a little bit of weight on and make sure that you're doing the movement properly. I would definitely start there. Lift with supervision. And yeah, I would say that's a great place for you to start. When I was 13, that's when I started lifting weights. And I actually lifted because I enrolled as a freshman football player. Luckily enough, the freshman football players actually got to train with the junior varsity and the senior. We got to train with the junior varsity football players in the gym. And I remember there was a couple guys that were older than me, and I got the invite. I got the invite to join them at the squat rack, and there was 4 of us. I remember vividly. And believe it or not, they motivated me to lift my own body weight. I think at the time I was pretty heavy. I think I was weighing like 175 pounds freshman year, and they got me to lift my body weight, and that was quite the feat. I discovered right away that I was pretty strong. So I would definitely find someone that can help you test your limits to find out what your limits are in terms of your strength capability in the gym. That's a good place to start. That's a good place to start. Oh my gosh, man, you guys really went off in this chat room. I'm having a hard time deciphering. Let's see here. How do I get over the sadness of track practice being canceled? You know, it's funny. One of my athletes today in my Winter Circle program sent me a picture. And he had 2 workouts today. He had a workout that was going to be, you guys won't be able to see this. He had a gym workout and also a track workout. And I don't know if you can see that. If I do that, it's going to be blurry because my lens is fixed in terms of focus. But this is his squat rack. And in the back, it's all white. All that white is snow. And he's like, hey, dude, how am I going to do track training today? So we got creative. What was the goal at the track? Well, the goal at the track was to work on his speed endurance, muscular endurance. So we opted for, please forgive me, to do some sprints on the rollers inside. So unnamed BMX racer said, how do I get over the sadness of track practice being canceled? Easily. You don't be a victim. In fact, you become responsible and be at cause and say, okay, well, what can I do about it? Because when you're like that, then you could be creative. And me and my client, we got creative. He wasn't a victim. Like, hey man, you know, the track's closed. I'm really bummed. I'm trying to train from the grands, and you know what? This just isn't working out. No, man, he has ambition, and he's ambitious to achieve his goals at the grands. So he's being responsible. He sent me a picture. He's letting me know track's canceled. What can we do? So we got resourceful. When you're at cause, when you're responsible, you're not reactive, and you're able to respond to yourself, then you're able to be creative. When you're creative, you're resourceful. So be resourceful. What can you do instead? Perhaps there's something that you could do at home instead. Maybe you have some rollers. Maybe you could work on balancing at home. If it's raining outside, okay? Or if it's not raining outside, you could do sprints, okay? Do body weight exercises in the garage. Get resourceful. There's so many different ways that you guys can improve. Especially in the beginning of this video, we talked about so many ways we can improve off the bike at home. Pick one, do something. Let's see. Alum House says, yes, work on trials, riding type skills. A lot of people play foot down at clinics, and that's a great start, but bunny hop up things and that's all he said. Yeah, I agree. Cool. Thank you so much. You guys went off in the chat. I'm having a hard time. Anthony McCamus says HIT training is superior outside of riding your bike. Yeah, absolutely. HIT is pretty much an acronym for high intensity interval training. Very popular. P90X is a high impact interval training protocol. Yeah. In fact, a lot of my 12 and under training, especially in the membership at BMX Training Pro, is actually HIT. Yeah, a lot of it's HIT. A lot of it's high impact interval training. A lot of body squats, plyometrics, jumping into push-ups, dips, lunges, all kinds of crazy stuff with very little rest. It's very, very effective. Josh Rich, thank you so much for the super chat donation. He says, can you go over track teams, bike shop teams, factory teams, sponsorships, and what will help you the most financially? Ooh, man, that's a tough one, Josh. I might need to save that for another video, because here's the thing. I don't really know what's going on with sponsorships today. I don't know what the budget is. I don't know what people are playing with. I know at the pro level, it's really hard to find a salary that will allow you to make a good living while getting your expenses paid. It's really hard. What is the commoditized going rate for a top amateur? Maybe Drew Polk. Drew Polk's on in here. Drew, tell me what's the going rate for a top amateur, right? Are you guys getting travel? Are you guys getting you guys getting bikes? Are you guys getting equipment? Are you guys getting entry fees? There's so much to go over. Josh, Rich, thank you so much for the question. I don't know. I mean, I know what I can talk about, when I was a young kid, but I don't know if that is relatable in today's economy in terms of BMX. Our BMX economy is way different, right? I mean, when I was a pro on a factory team, shoot, when kids were riding for factory teams back when I was a pro, they were like living like larger than pros today. They were going to 30 races a year, getting all their expenses paid for, their entry fees, their food money, and then they got to split the team winnings. I mean, dude, those guys were living large. I don't know what it's like to be factory today. It's different, man. Moose Cypher, please forgive me if I mispronounce that. Can body weight exercises be just as efficient as weights? Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's especially, again, we're talking in terms of newer riders or riders that are new to the sport integrating training. Body weight exercises are great because you're working on the movement, which is improving flexibility in the joints, the tendons, muscle range of motion. Okay. And I would say when it comes to body weight exercises, I would throw some plyometrics in there. Okay. A little bit of impact is not going to hurt you. In fact, it's going to help you in terms of reactive power. Thank you so much for the question. Anthony Lett says, so if I work out, what should I do and how many times a week? Like 2, right? Yeah, we discussed that. Please forgive me if I'm getting to the question late. But yes, definitely working out. I presuppose you're talking about strength training twice a week. And I would do that, again, after your quality sprint work, after your track training, and do it on the 3rd day. Now, if you're ambitious, if you really want to have some fun, you could definitely do some sprint training in the gym parking lot. Spend 20 minutes on sprint training. You don't need to do that many. Do a half a dozen sprints, okay, and then jump into the gym. Lock up your bike. Dylan McGann, Coach G, how long should I ride rollers for and how many times a week? Rollers for what purpose? Now, if you're going to do rollers for top end leg speed work, I don't know, twice a week would be cool. If you're going to ride rollers for speed endurance work, muscular endurance work, I don't know, 2 times a week would be cool. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? How are you riding rollers? I mean, what does rollers mean to you? Because I like riding rollers for endurance, right? I'll ride rollers for 60 minutes and maybe, throw a sprint in there here and there. Are you riding rollers for the purpose of improving your top end leg speed and going for high quality deep work? Or are you doing it to improve your muscular endurance capacity? It all depends. But hey, man, at the end of the day, if you're able to get on the bike at home and do some training, just do it, right? If you're a newer rider, just do it. It's not until you reach a level of plateauing, right? Plateauing meaning that you're doing something and you're no longer benefiting from the exercise. Then that's when we need to start restructuring or adding structure to the training, right? Getting really scientific. And while I like to get scientific, this video is not for that. We're just trying to identify, again, the main ingredients of training, right? What does training do at the track? What kind of training can we do at the track? What kind of training we could do away from the track on the bike? And of course, off the bike at home. Okay, what are the things we can work on? I really appreciate the questions on the training. Jacob James says, my tight pants is the willingness for me to train. Oh, okay, what does that mean? That's funny, dude. Does that mean your legs and your butt are getting big and so you want to get skinnier? Or is it you're getting compliments from the girls and so you want to train more, right? I don't know. Right? There's so many ways to interpret that, right? Words are funny. Josh Rich asks, here's a good one. How do I overcome the fear of looping out? Ooh. Yes, I've looped out. Many people loop out. I've looped out a lot. And yes. Well, I would say number one, what was it that caused you to loop out, right? What caused it? What caused you to loop out? Was it just manually in the street and you just looped out? Or was it over a double? Were you trying to double manual? Were you trying to pedal manual? What did you do to loop out? Let me know, Josh, and I'll come back to you. Guys are talking about Salt Lake City over here. St. George and the Utah gang. Right on. Jacob James says getting fat. Okay, so Josh came back and said both. Okay, so number one, I would say, hey man, is the rear end on the bike, is it too short? Okay, is that causing you to loop out? Maybe add a half link. Add a half link and draw that rear end a little bit longer and see what that does for your manualing. And hopefully it doesn't change anything as it pertains to your gate start or your acceleration technique out of the gate. Try that, man. Maybe if you're looping out too easy, the rear end's too short. Okay? Maybe the front end's too short. Maybe the bike doesn't fit you properly. I don't know because I'm only reading words, right? But yeah, I would say, what's the bike setup like? Okay, if the bike setup is fine and you're just looping out, okay, well then, is your finger on the brake? Are you able to tap the finger? Right? Maybe you're overcommitting on the manual. You're manualing too far back, right? Maybe you're pulling up too high and you're getting the front end. It's getting up too high. All right. I don't know. I would love to. You know what, man? Send me a video. Send me a video that would help me. I need more context. He's 6 foot and runs a Pro XL. Okay. Yeah, Pro XL might be too small. I mean, I'm under 6 foot and I run a Pro XL Plus. It's 21 and a quarter. Corbin Sherraw is 6 foot and he runs a double XL. I mean, shoot. Tyler Brown he's under 5'9" and he runs a double XL with a long stem and a short rear end. All right, guys. Well, hey, thank you guys so much. Let's see if I can find one more question. Pietro Cutrona says, what's up, Coach G? I always need advice because of my recent move up to expert, and your stuff has really helped. Thank you. Okay, so that was a comment. Thank you. Thank you so much for showing up to the show. I really appreciate you, and I'm honored to be your coach, and I'm honored to be everyone's coach here that shows up. Guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys showing up. Make sure you guys subscribe. It's really helpful if you guys subscribe. It really supports me. Let's see here. Coach G, any protein powders recommended from Trader Joe's? I don't go to Trader Joe's. I don't really go into supplements either, but I like protein at night before I go to bed. I think it's really helpful. Other than that, I'm not really into dairy products, so I actually like some of the vegan options when it comes to protein. Some of it is tasty, some of it's not. It's kind of hit or miss. And it's the same thing with whey, right? Like whey's hit and miss. All right, let's see what else. Russian potato showed up. Let's see here. Any other questions? No, just a bunch of comments. You guys did well talking to each other, man. Thank you guys so much. I love that. Huh. All right, guys. Oh, let's see. One more question here. Let's see if it's a good one. Dylan McGann BMX says, any tips on crank size? I'm a 14-year-old expert that has been expert for a while and just switched to 177s, and I have a 33-inch inseam. Yeah, I don't know what that means. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, I mean, I have a 28-inch, I'm all torso. I have a short inseam at 28 inches, and I run 177s. I mean, I used to run 182s, so yeah, cranks. Again, cranks, like there is no one size fits all for when it comes to cranks, because you're dealing with leg lengths, you're dealing with torso lengths, you're dealing with full body lengths, you're dealing with strengths of riders. You're talking about riders with different fiber types, who are more strength dominant versus slow twitch dominant. Gear ratios. I mean, man, it's so tough. I have a hard time with those kind of questions, to be honest with you. And it's sometimes it's just something that you guys have to figure out. And here's my default answer every time. You want to figure out, when it comes to crank length, what is the longest crank that you could run that will enable you to get out of the gate and that you're comfortable with sprinting when you're topped out. Not only down the first straight and spun out, but also when you're hitting that when you're coming out of the second turn and when you're coming out of the last turn. Do those cranks feel really long to you, or are they really short? And so you have to figure that out. So it's the longest crank that you can find that will enable you to get out of the gate, and also that you're comfortable with at the end coming out of the last straight. Really, truly. But it's crazy, right? Like, oh man, you guys got me wrapped into this. Oh my gosh, how did you guys do this? All right, so, I'm going to go back to storytelling. I remember I based my crank length based off of a guy that I had a hard time beating. Yes, I did that. And so I just ran his setup, right? Dude was running 182s and he was dominating as a pro. And I'll tell you what his name is here in a minute. He was running 182s and he was running a 44. So I ran 182s, I ran a 44, but I couldn't keep up with him, right? I just couldn't keep up with him. The cranks were long and the gear was too easy. So what I did was I threw on a 45. He ran 182s with a 44. I couldn't keep up with that setup, so I threw a 45 on. It was really competitive. I can compete with him down the first straight, and I always knew psychologically that I had a harder gear than him. So I always thought in my mind I had more track speed than him. I was running a longer gear. I was running a harder gear. So sometimes when you get to that level, right, find out what other riders are riding. What's the top fastest guy? What are they riding for a setup? Give their setup a try if it doesn't cost you any money. If you could borrow someone's gear, right? If you could when I mean gear, I mean like you could find a crank set, because it's hard to like stock 3-4 sets of cranks, right? Again, I'm not sponsored by these guys, but Renan Design makes a nice adjustable crank. Again, if you guys are like, I don't know what the weight limit is on that, but if you're a 13-on rider and you're a full-on BMX gear dad, right, then you could totally explore options with adjusting the crank. Find out what the toughest, fastest guy is running. Try his setup. Does it make sense? I wouldn't try his setup in terms of bike size, because that's going to mess everything up. But I think when it comes to gears, there's lots of flexibility there, right? Because you can make adjustments with the gear. When it comes to cranks, you can make adjustments with the gear. You can make adjustments with the tire size, right? You can also adapt to cranks, because you can work on adapting with a longer crank just through simply sprint training. All right, so yeah, that's a good one. Josh Snow, bring back the Penguin MC. Yeah, I don't have it. I think I threw it out. Does tire size make a difference on manualing? I don't think so. Now, I think there's a difference in manualing between a cruiser and a 20-inch. Absolutely, the balance point's going to be different. But I don't think tire size is going to affect the balance point as much as the rear end length and the front end length and how long your stem is and your technique. But as far as equipment's concerned, the rear end length is going to affect how much that front end needs to come up off the ground. Team Gamble, greetings from church. Let me start over here. Team Gamble BMX, greetings from Christchurch, New Zealand. We just hosted our 2020 national champs on the weekend. Now having a breather. Cheers for the content. Thank you so much for showing up from New Zealand. Good morning to you guys down under. All right, we'll take one more question here. Josh Rich, very active in the chat. Thank you so much, Josh. If you're coming up to a turn and there is a guy coming up behind you fast and ready to pass, what do you do to block him? Yeah, just move over on him. I mean, shoot, my stream kind of like glitched, didn't it? Yeah, just occupy the line. That's all you could do. Don't take him out, but just occupy the line. Establish boundaries in the turn. Work on your turns at home while you're training. Work on your goals, work on your ambition. Find the time to train, recommit to your training. Guys, thank you so much for showing up to BMX Coach Live. I am your coach, Greg Romero. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the races.